Rebel salute, rebel salute, rebel salute, everyone out there. I hope you're doing well. I hope your heart and your soul is well with your Creator, God, the omniscient, omnipresent, the Holy of Holies. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, today I shall stay here for, let me say 30 minutes, okay? 30, 40, I'll say 30, okay? Minimum of, maximum maybe 1 hour or thereabouts, okay? But as you can see, the topic today is Ruto is a slave trader. Azimio, are they targeting Kikuyus? Okay? I will explain myself. I know you might be wondering, what am I talking about? How can Ruto be a slave trader? I'll come back to that. Azimio, are they targeting Kikuyus? I've been going through different platforms and hear their supporters talk, and they seems to be blaming the Kikuyu community, the tribe, for their loss in 2022. Is that fair? Is that really fair? We shall delve into that too. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, if you're joining now, please, I'm about to send the link. And if you feel like you need to say something, I will post the link so you can jump in and chime in. Or if you don't want to show your face, you can always comment. Feel free to share this live stream. Feel free to comment, be part of this discussion. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It goes by the name, as you can see there, Kenya Revolutionary. Just type it on your YouTube search bar and you will see me, my face, and you can subscribe and share with your friends. Ask them to join. And if you want, you can tag Ruto for this so he can come explain himself as he explained himself yesterday when he had this Ask Ruto news conference yesterday. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me go in and start with this. You know, during slavery, why was slaved, whether it was transatlantic slave trade, whether it was the Indian slave trade when the Arabs came and had the Africans from African continent into the Arabian Peninsula, okay? There was one motivation, there was one need in those places, okay? And it was human resources, okay? The African continent was exporting human resources to the continents outside of Africa, okay? That seems to have never changed, even though slave trade was abolished years ago. Well, except with the exception of, I think, Sudan and Chad, where slave trade was still going on. In fact, in Libya, some places, slave trade is still going on. Of course, it's going on illegally because, like I say, slave trade was abolished on paper officially a few hundred years ago, but it's still going on today in various forms. Okay? Now, let's review. During slavery, we had an arrangement where we had the slave master, okay, and the slave. The slave master would force the slave to work on the fields in exchange for what? For food and shelter, okay? All the proceeds, the profits that the slave owner made from the fields, he never shared with the slaves, okay? Then come down to the feudalism. During feudalism in medieval Europe, we had the monarchs, which had rented out land to the nobility, members of the nobility, who therefore used the serfs or the villains who worked the fields for a certain number of days in exchange for military protection. and for food. The proceeds and the profits that were made in the fields were only shared by the nobility, and of course, the lion's share went to the crown. Not necessarily the British, but there were different monarchs in Europe at that time due to feudalism. Okay. Now most countries live under capitalistic system, capitalism. Okay. We have an arrangement where we have the corporation, okay, headed by the CEO or the owner. Then we have the board of directors, and they have their workers who work for them for some wages. Okay, in the exchange there is the wages that you agree upon. Usually they are not so much, but it is what it is. It is enough to help you pay bills here and there, pay for fuel to get to work, pay for the vehicle which you are renting, basically. Okay, pay for the rent that most likely the same people who own these corporations own these houses, these apartments, or whatever the case is. Okay, but the proceeds, the profits that this corporation make, they don't share it with their employees. Okay, they share it among the member of the board, and of course the owner gets the lion's share. Of course, if you're a shareholder, you get the share of the profits. Okay, so I was asking myself, in this 21st century, we have a president in Kenya who, instead of creating jobs in Kenya for people to work and build their country, not only economically, but the infrastructure of the country can be strengthened if we all work towards that. Why can't we educate our folks? Actually, let me not even say educate our folks. We have enough educated people living in the diaspora and even living in Kenya, okay, who can design, help in building infrastructure for these industries, so that we can move on to the 21st century economy. Okay, we don't have to live in an agrarian economy. The big question is this. Let's listen into this man, Ruto. Why is he gung-ho on this idea of exporting human resources? Why can't you create jobs for Kenyans in Kenya? High-paying jobs. I don't care if it's manual work. You can have it where people are getting decent wages, payments, where they can survive on, that they can live on, instead of exporting them to Saudi Arabia. I don't know if Ruto knows this, but Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, those Arabian countries, they have an awful record of inhuman rights, workers' rights. Okay, they treat the workers as slaves. Al Jazeera, they had a documentary years before the World Cup was held. They were showcasing how foreign workers came to UAE, okay, Bahrain and other countries. When they were building these stadiums, they were living in squalid living conditions. Most of the workers were from India and Africa, okay, and Pakistan, okay. And those guys some of them even committed suicide. Some of them even killed themselves at the job sites. Some of them even died because of the squalid living conditions. So I don't know if somebody has told Ruto. There's actually a documentary about an Ethiopian woman who was working in Saudi Arabia. As soon as he got there, she was working as a mbotch. As soon as she got there, the owner of the house took a passport and told her she could not get out of the house without his personal permission. And the owner of the house, not only did he use her to do all the housework, also sexually assaulted her repeatedly, year in, year out. And one day, that Saudi Arabia lady escaped from the house. I mean, sorry, the Ethiopian lady who was working in Saudi Arabia escaped from the house and made her way to the Ethiopian embassy. Unfortunately, the Ethiopian embassy will not see her without an appointment. So this poor girl, when the owner of the house went to get her, she committed suicide. That story was in Al Jazeera. So what I'm trying to say is this idea of exporting our people to other countries to go work out there is not ideal. Okay? I don't care how much money Ruto is trying to tell us that you'll get paid. I can assure you, there's numerous stories about foreign workers being mistreated, okay? Living under very, 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 very poor living conditions, working conditions, and nobody seems to care. So Ruto, let's listen into Ruto when he talks about this phenomena, how he wants to export people. What's the need? As a president, as the head of the government, the executive, you should be creating an environment where our young folks, our skilled workers, can apply their knowledge and skills to help the collective nation, okay? Not exporting the manpower, the human resource that we have that can be used to build our nation. So let me play a couple of videos where Ruto is trying to promise us that he has opportunities away. Remember, he has been telling us that the reason why he was flying in different countries, he was trying to find jobs for Kenyans abroad. How ridiculous is that reasoning? Why fly abroad to try to find Kenyans jobs abroad while there's a lot of jobs? There's jobs that can be created within our borders to help our people and keep the families intact, okay? This reasoning baffles the mind. I can't even imagine how someone can come up with an idea like that. But let me play you these clips so you can understand why I'm telling you. Ruto is the new slave trader of the 21st century. Ruto is a slave trader. Let's not get it twisted. Anyone who goes to Saudi Arabia, you cannot live you cannot get decent pay in Saudi Arabia. I can tell you that, okay? We saw the video of that lady that was leaving that Saudi Arabia family, okay? Go ask her how much was she getting paid, okay? But anyway, let me play this video so you can know what I'm talking about. Because if I'm talking here, I sound like I'm rambling, but I want you to see for yourself so you know what I'm talking about exactly. Here's a video clip by none other than this colonial
Nilikuwa labor agreements ndio ipatikane ajira. Nilikuwa wiki iliyopita pale Saudi. Tumekubaliana na wao, wanahitaji watu, wanataka kufanya kazi huko kwao watu 1350. Na wanasema watu wa Kenya ndio wako mbele zaidi kwa bidii. So mjipange. Tuna sign bilateral labor agreement hivi karibuni, nitarudi huko in another 3 weeks. Kuna watu wengine wananipigia makelele, mbona umeenda safari hii, mbona umeenda safari hii. Hiyo ndio kazi yangu ya rais. Mimi ndio chief agent ya Kenya. Mimi ndio ambassador ya Kenya ya kupanga vile Kenya itasonga mbele. Si ndio? Si mmesikia askofu hapa akisema amekuja hapa Wasikishu, amekaa karibu wiki moja. Si ndio? Alikuwa Nandi, amekaa wiki moja. Alikuwa huko Mbere, amekaa sijui siku ngapi. Mimi nikienda tu kwenda kutafuta ajira ya Wakenya siku 2, kelele. Sasa tafadhali Bishop, utanitetea, umwambie hata wewe unaendanga kupanga kazi ya kazi ya watu yako. So tutaendelea kupanga kazi namna hiyo ndio tuweze kusonga mbele. This is how we are going to grow our nation. Na mimi nataka niwaambie wa Kenya ya kwamba Sisi ni nchi ambayo tumebarikiwa. This country is going to change. I promise you. Hii nchi itabadilika. Usikuwe na wasiwasi. Na tuko na neema ya Mungu. I have no doubt in my mind.
All right. Say a plug.
So, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Enough of Ruto's. Hold on. So, Ruto is trying to tell us, Kenyans, that he went to Saudi Arabia. They need 350,000 workers. And he said that the Saudis even said they want Kenyans more than anybody else because Kenyans are hardworking. Ruto, you are exporting. Do you know the exportation of human resources to another country? Do you know what that is? That is called slavery. America, the people who went to America, they were not enough. They wanted, after they took the land from the Indians, the local American Indians, okay, they had mass land that they took from the Indians, and they want to build industries. And there was not enough people, because remember, the people who went to America first, the first people who landed there, these people were not used to, these were nobility. Okay, these were people who were lawyers, and they were so they needed somebody to work, till their land, work on the land. So they needed human resources. And what did they do? They went to Africa. And it is called slavery, because they took those people, okay? They took those people. Thank you, Yaya. I see you there. Rebel salute. Nice seeing you today. Okay? They took the people, most of them from Western Africa. Okay? Some went even deeper to the, we know the Indian slave trade, where a lot of Africans were taken from the East, that's to India and Arabia. Okay? But anyway, the point is this. These guys were shipped. Okay? Yes, sir. Rebel salute. They were shipped. We have to highlight that. So rebel salute, my friend. Yeah, 2K. Yes, sir. So our people were shipped from the Western Africa and taken to the new lands in America, okay, for the sole purpose of working the fields there, cotton farming, and so forth and so forth. Okay, I mentioned that was trade. That was called the slave trade. And guess what? Something that we cannot go around without discussing. The slave trade could not happen without some of our people selling our young boys and girls to slavery. I will repeat this. I know this is very, 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 very something that most Pan-Africanists, Pan-Africanists do gloss over. The slave trade was not possible without people. Some of our leaders, the collaborators who sold their young girls and boys into slavery. What I mean is, these slave traders who came to the coast of Africa looking for people to work, they had to agree with the leaders there, the local leaders. Some of them, not all of them, okay? Some of them sold their own people into slavery. It is happening today. Now Ruto, okay, I go back to, we were done with slavery. During feudalism in Europe, medieval Europe, I say it again, the relationship was between serfs and the nobility and the British Crown. The British Crown gave the nobility piece of land, basically to rent, and that land, the serfs and the villeins worked on the land for a number of days. In your day, you work there, but the profit went to the crown and the nobility. So under capitalism, we have the relationship of an employer and an employee. Okay? The employer, the owner of the corporation, okay, owns the company. he has maybe board of directors, then you are an employee. He agrees to pay you an X amount of money, tells you, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you an X amount of money, take it or leave it. Since you don't have a job, you'll get it. Okay, you'll grab that job. You work for them, and the profit that they make from this corporation, they won't share with you. They will not share with you. It is shared by the head of the corporation, okay, and maybe if you have shares in the corporation, okay, not the employers. No, sorry, not the employees. Okay, so let's take you to the Kenyan context. Here you have a president. I've been telling you, the day I knew Ruto was a colonial puppet is when he allowed the GMOs to come in this country. That was 2 months into his presidency. And I told you, this guy is a puppet. And now people are catching on, okay? Now, this guy, just think of it. How can a president of a country stands up in front of people and tells you that the only way for a country to develop is by shipping 350,000 people to fulfill the job needs, human resource needs in Saudi Arabia? And that's only Saudi Arabia, because he talks about Germany too. He went to Germany and talked about Germany, said Germany also needs jobs. And he didn't say skilled workers. No. Did you hear him say skilled workers? No. Munaenda huko kazi ya mjengo. Instead of doing kazi ya, I'd rather do kazi ya mjengo in Kenya than do kazi ya mjengo in Saudi Arabia. Go find out about Saudi Arabia. These Arabian countries. There's no work, there's nothing like a worker's right. Utakufa hivyo, and if you die, they ship you back. And this government will not even pay for your burial. We have to be very careful with these people. That's why I call Ruto a slave trade. This is slave trade. I don't care how you look at it. This is slave trade. Ndio wanajifanya ati ni sijui an agreement between two nations where we can your people, you can ship your workers here to come and work. No. I would be more happy if it was more like this. If he said we shall ship 350,000 of young men to come and learn, come to your institutions. Let's say in Germany. Germans are known to have the best engineers in the world. Okay? If he said there is the college, I've went to University of Cologne or University of Munich, have said they are willing to take 50,000 young men from Kenya to learn about engineering, whatever engineering, whatever, whether it's whatever kind of engineering, okay? I will be for it, because you are shipping young folks to learn a high-skill job, which they can come back and apply to help industrialize Kenya. That's how you grow. Not sending 350,000 men and women, taking them from their families to Saudi Arabia to go do manual work. What's the difference between that and slavery? Somebody tell me. I'll put the link in. I want somebody to tell me. If you're listening in, wherever you are, tell me how different is that from slavery. I told you, I started by telling you, when the slave traders came to the coast of Africa, okay, they were looking for human resources, okay? They wanted strong young men and women who they can breed for the sole purpose of working their fields, and they will not pay them. Or if they pay, they'll give them shelter and food for them to keep on working. Go look at Al Jazeera. Go to Al Jazeera page and look at the documentary. They talk about the workers that are working in, whether it's Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, those Arabian countries that you see that. That's why I don't like Dubai. Even Dubai, I hate going to those towns. Yes, they look beautiful and all that, and people go there and shopping and buying whatever the case. I'm not going there as a person, because I know how that whatever was built. Okay, and it's the recent past. This is not happening in the 80s or something. This happens just the past 20 years. Go see how they built those buildings. Pakistanis, Indians, Africans, and they were being mistreated. Some of them turned into prostitutes. Died, never even went bodies buried back in home. Okay? Then you have a president That's what I'm telling you. This is a slave trader. He comes in and tells you, you know what? We are not going to build our country. I'm not going to build, we are not going to even build factories for our young folks to work in and get paid, revitalize, whether it's Rivertex, what was that? Mumias Sugar, name it. We had factories that were working. Senator Okiya Mtata was telling us about, was it a copper factory there in Busia somewhere? Let's revitalize that. Instead of crying, I heard him yesterday in the press conference talking about, oh, we need to sell KICC and we need to, there are, I don't know, 200 and what companies, government-owned companies that we need to privatize so we can make money because we are losing. If a company is not doing good, okay, you don't sell it. Look at why they're not making money. Look at why they're not efficient, okay? The answer is not handing it over to the private sector, because private sector also fails, and most of them fail. 70%, 80% of the businesses, corporations that are started, they fail. Private sector also fails. So what makes you think that giving it to private sector is the solution? But no, I told you about this. This is not about giving the private sector. This is about giving the big multi-corporations. I told you, if you've been following me, I've been telling you, I gave you the book, okay? Because these multinational, transnational corporations are tied in with the IMF and World Bank. Actually, they're the very people who own World Bank and IMF. So if you sign those deals, part of the deal is they will control some facets of your economy. And part of it is this government-owned corporation, he will give it to these multi-transnational corporations. Okay, that is part of the deal. But he wants to dress it up to Kenyans as if, you know what, government is not working, so let's just give it the private sector because private sector is more efficient and is more profitable. That's a lie. If the company is not working well, again, I repeat, if I'm a head of I'm a businessman and I take over corporation, okay? I'm Ruto, I come in, I'm a president. The first thing I will look at the company, do a forensic audit of the country, of the company. What is going on? Is it a matter of corruption? Is it lack of sales if you're involved in sales? What's going on? Why is it not efficient? You look at it and you audit it and see what's going on. Is it the leadership? Is it people stealing money? Is it what's going on? Is it incompetence? Why is this thing not making money? You don't just sell it just because it doesn't work. I mean, that's like if your car is broken, you have a flat tire and you come in and say, oh, no, I'm selling this car because I have a flat tire. No, you go find out what's wrong with the car. If it's kama unaona moshi imetoka kwa hiyo bonnet, unaenda unafungua hiyo hood, unaangalia nini, moshi inatoka wapi? What's the problem? Okay, is it overheating? Why is it overheating? Is something, does it need a coolant? Does it need, that's what you do. You don't sell the car altogether and tell us that, oh, you know what, this is better off if I sell it because, if I give it to the private sector, it will be more efficient, it will be running good, and it will be... No, Ruto, stop it. We know these are the majority that you've been given by IMF to do. But to the topic, this is slave trade, exporting human resource for the amount that we know very well. Saudi Arabia are not paying... Anyone if you've worked in Saudi Arabia, please come in here and tell me if they're paying you good money. If you're paying you good money in Saudi Arabia, please come in and tell me. Saudi Arabia does not pay. Any Arabian company does not pay good. Unless you're a banker or you're somebody who are helping them bank. You are helping the king, the sultan to bank his money. Other than that, if you're going to do Kazi ya Mjengo, you are not. Because trust me, those 350,000 positions, and he has said that in Kenya, they are not going to be working to be the head of Google. You're not going to work in the banking sector. You're going to be a botch in someone's house. And there's enough horror stories of those, of the Africans going to Saudi Arabia, in Arabian Peninsula. Okay? So let's stop this madness. This guy is a slave trader. That is exactly what it means, a slave trader. A slave trader is somebody who sold people to slavery. And some of them Our own people. That's why we said colonialism was never over. We have never been off colonialization. Our independence was negotiated. You can't negotiate yourself to freedom. You have to fight yourself to freedom. Look at the Sahel agreement in our brothers here in Mali, Burkina Faso, and what's the other country? Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. See, they're starting their own currency. They're in total control of their country, militarily, monetarily, okay, and they're creating jobs for their own people. They choose who comes to, and you know what they did when they took up the Iranian companies that were controlled by the French? You know what they say? They say, no. If you want something, come and train our own people. You're not leaving. You're not shipping anything out. No. You want to come? You train our own people here in our country. They're now building the first gold refinery that's going to be the first gold refinery in Africa. Instead of shipping that gold to be refined outside of Africa, they said, no. We're going to do everything here. Oil to refine hapa, gold to refine hapa, and guess what? They're starting their own. That is the true independence. Did they go sit down with Macron, and said, let's negotiate for our peace? Just let me lead. No. You do not negotiate for your freedom. You do not negotiate with your colonizer. Zimbabwe, Kenya, and many other even Ghana. Most of these African nations negotiated for their what? For their independence in the 1960s at Lancaster. Okay? The British, the Queen sat there and told them, hey, listen, I will make you can be the president, but this is what you're not going to do. We are going to control this, and that. Everything else is up to you. Ukitaka kuiba hiyo ninio, kuiba shamba, wenda kaibe. And that's how we became independent. And people are celebrating, Kenyatta. You're still colonized to this day. To this day. I know it's sad to say it, but it is true. That's why Ruto is standing up and talking that crazy. And there's nothing we are doing because he has the backup. And you know what? You know what's funny? I've been saying this. Listen to this. I want you to go research by yourself. Listen to this. This is very, very, very important. And go check it upon yourself, okay? Just a few weeks ago, is it last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago? Ruto's case was dropped. Remember his case at the ICC? Wameifunga. After doing all the bidding for the IMF, running around meeting the president of the IMF and bringing the GMOs and privatizing everything, Ruto's case is closed. Go look back at Kenyatta. Kenyatta, when he started doing the same thing, when he got into the structural adjustment program with the IMF, that's the same around time when his case was also closed. And I've been making this case all along. When these two guys went to the ICC, okay, when they went to the ICC, there had to be a meeting between the Western people and this Ruto and Ruto and Kenyatta, telling them, listen, you guys can win this election. Because remember, these guys never won the election. Okay, Ruto won in 2022. That he won. I can't. Let's not play around. But 2013, first of all, they were not even supposed to run in the. 2013, they were not qualified. They need past chapter 6. But with the help of the West, because remember, the witnesses were killed and they were let to run. Okay, walikimbia na kifua. Wakasema, hey, we are running anyway. We are not guilty. We shall run and become president. Okay, and they became president. And a few years into Uhuru's presidency, kesi yake ikakatwa. Ruto, after doing the bidding for IMF, just 3 weeks ago, it was announced. I should bring the clip. I can find the clip there. Wamefunga your case. Why? Because he's doing. Remember what was it Putin said? The ICC is only being used to prosecute African presidents who the West don't like. I'll repeat. The ICC, International Criminal Court, is only used to put African presidents in line. Okay? If the West don't like you, they'll say, "Oh, you violated human whatever. Wanakushika, wanataka kupeleka Hague." Okay? If they don't like you. If they don't like you. You see, they put that on Putin. Putin flew in Saudi Arabia the other day. I don't know if you guys saw the clip. I mean, Putin is Putin. Putin is nothing to play with, okay? He had all the bombers with him. I mean, even, in fact, I know this is not unrelated, but I just say it anyway. In fact, it was saying when he was passing through the Black Sea, the carrier for the US carrier and all their planes did not function for 1 hour when Putin was passing through. That's how powerful. Sorry, guys. My something happened. Somebody attacked me or something. But anyway, enough of Ruto. He's a slave trader. My last point here, as you can see, the second party, Azimio, are they targeting Kikuyus? Now, I want to say this. I've noticed that there's a lot of Azimio folks who are now blaming Kikuyus for voting for Ruto. They keep on playing that clip by Kenyatta when he was saying that musikubali maneno matamu na mnadanganya. Basically, you're being hoodwinked into this guy, voting for this guy. But here's my take, though. It is your right as a Kenyan, whether you collectively want to vote for a particular candidate or not. It's a personal choice. No one should blame you for voting for a certain presidential candidate. Okay? No one should. If you decide that you want to vote for Raila, that's your right. No one should say, we will pigia Raila Odinga, so this is in the third. No. Same thing. If you vote for Ruto, William Ruto, Samoei Ruto, no one should say that, unajua hizi shida zinakuja hapa, it is because of you guys, you voted for him. Obviously, at the time, the people who are voting for Ruto did not know that Ruto will be leading this country into this mess. Okay? So stop blaming each other for voting for that is your right, democratic right, to vote for who you deem fit. Both of them had their manifesto, walikuja wakauza sera zao, and people sat down and say, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I like this, I'll vote for this guy, whether they were lied to or not. We should not target anyone or blame anyone for Ruto's mess. That is your democratic right to go vote. So I don't approve of this idea of the Azimio folks, especially their followers, saying that nyinyi wa Kikuyu ndio mlituangusha chini. And now the thing that they're complaining about, I hear them say this a lot, when it was time for maandamano, you never joined us. Mlikuwa mnajifanya ati biashara zenu zinaharibiwa. Ati biashara zenu zinaharibiwa. while we were in the street getting tear gassed. Listen, maandamano, when Raila calls for a maandamano, let's say today, Raila calls for a maandamano. In fact, let me just be very, 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 very clear. I want to be very deliberate and very clear and equivocal about this. When we started this maandamano, when the first ever maandamano started, not so many went out there. Let's just be factual. Let's not try to sugarcoat things, okay? When Raila called the first maandamano, the only people who came out, a majority of them, were Luos. Whether it was in Nyanza province and a few places in Nairobi, in whatever. Thank you, Brother Benson. I see you. Nice seeing you. That's Brother Benson. If you don't know about his channel, please go to his channel, Brother Benson Media. He has wonderful interviews. Subscribe to his channel. Okay? So let's face it. When Mandamano started, it was only majority was staunch Raila followers, which, let's name it, call a spade a spade. Most of them, majority of Raila's followers are Luos. Just like saying majority of Ruto's followers are Kalejins. Just like saying majority of former President Uhuru Kenyatta's followers are Kikuyus. Just like saying the majority of the followers of Kalonzo are Kambas. That's a fact. Let's not run away from that. Okay? So the people who are majority of them that were Mandamaran, it was not exclusively Luos, but majority were Luos who went out there to protest. And lawyers and other but majority was Luos. And of course, we know there were atrocities between, when the police and these supporters were clashing. Now we can throw blames around and say Raila supporters were throwing stones, and you can say the police were brutal or whatever the case is. That's not the point. The point is Raila called a Mandamano, and the majority of his followers who happen to be Luos are the one who went out there to protest. Majority. And when the atrocity happens, they are the ones who had caught the whatever end of the stick. Okay? All right. Later on, after Maina Njenga brought in his Mungiki, remember, Maina Njenga was operating his stuff in Central Province. Even there was a time when Kalonzo also joined and led a peaceful whatever in Machakos. Okay? But what I hear from Azimio folks are saying is that these Kikuyus, they are taking advantage of Luos. They want the Luos to do the hard work. Go out there, protest, die, so that they can reap the effect when Raila, when they succeed. They'll... At the same time, now they're saying these are the same people who voted for Ruto. They blame them. Uhuru warned you, but you voted for him. Now we are reaping this as a fact, reaping the consequences of voting for Ruto. That is what they're saying. But my argument is this, my friend. Okay? Whether someone votes for Ruto or Raila, you cannot say that now we blame you, this community, for voting for these people. You cannot say that. That is their right. Just like if Luos were to vote Raila Odinga and Raila Odinga was the president and he started messing up the country, you cannot say that this community, target this community, or they voted for Raila Odinga. Kenya. No. The same way we are not saying, we talk about, we get mad at Ruto. Remember when he gave that speech and said, watu wa kuvuta ngoa reli. Of course, he was referring to Luos in not so many ones. Okay? And we stood up and say, no, that is not right. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is this. The people, I'm not, I don't get into the political part of it, but I'm just saying, if someone votes for a certain candidate and that candidate becomes the president and that candidate turns into something else that they did not expect, you don't go blame the community or the voters that voted for that person. We as a nation should see that this person who's leading us in the wrong direction is held accountable. Hata kama walidanganywa. Because this is a very dangerous game that they're playing. It's a very, very dangerous game we're playing. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not trying to be naive. I know the politics. There's some, people have always felt like, especially during the Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure, the Uhuru Kenyatta's government, it was filled with Kikuyus. And majority of the people, even in Kibaki's days, and majority of Kenyans felt like Kikuyus were looking down upon other communities. That is a fact. People just felt like it. That was the feeling. Okay? But I'm saying in 2023, whether they vote for Ruto or whoever they vote for, because some people voted what they felt was right at the time. So whether you view it as a mistake, don't start hating that person or that community because they voted for that person. Okay? Don't do that. Because what is building up, which I'm afraid of as a person who watched the 2007 unfold in front of us, okay? It was the same thing. When Raila won the election, Kibaki forced himself, swore himself at night, midnight, somewhere in a dingy place. Okay? People started targeting Kikuyus in Rift Valley. We saw what happened in Rift Valley. Okay? So what I'm trying to say in not so many words is this. Let's not start pointing fingers at certain communities for voting for leaders that we do not approve of. I might not like Ruto. I might not like what Ruto is doing. I personally, I'm not a big fan of Uhuru Kenyatta. Nor am I a fan of Kibaki. But that does not mean that I should target or make it seem like all Kikuyus, are just as messed up as and arrogant as Uhuru Kenyatta was or is. Because once you start saying, because I saw that in another platform. That's why I want to use my platform somewhere where we can speak about these things. Okay? I saw it in another platform and they were kind of agreeing. It's starting to build. Hawa Kikuyu siasa yao mbaya. Hawa ndio walipigia watu. They think they are like, no. It's a very, very dangerous game. It's a very dangerous game. Okay? That's why I want to use my platform to talk about things like this. Steve Biko say, I write what I like. So to me, I vlog what I like. But I wanted to make that correction. I wanted to make that clear. Let's be fair-minded. You don't have to agree with everyone, but let's look at things in a very fair way. Even though it might be true that majority of Kikuyus voted for Ruto, and even Kalenjin voted for Ruto, that's not a reason to start targeting and pointing fingers saying, you Kikuyus, you are the one who are destroying Kenya. Oh, it is your fault. It is your fault. Because when things get thick, we can quickly descend into what happened to 2007. And no one wants to go through that. Yes, Luos have also suffered, and no one has talked enough about the atrocities, the targeting that happened, especially in Nyalenda, what happened in Nyalenda. I've been saying this. That's why I've been saying I'm so hard on this Azimio folks, because I'm saying, hey, Raila, most of your supporters were killed. Why don't you advocate for them? Holding a vigil at Karen is not enough. I'm sorry. This should have been the number one issue at NADCO if you wanted to have some sort of talks, which I didn't approve anyway, but I'm just saying. So let's be careful, because as things get worse, as you see in Germany, Germany, the people of Germany, because there's a huge influx of immigrants, and the economy is starting to get worse. So the Germans are now attacking the immigrants because they feel like they're the reason why the German economy is doing bad. So the very same thing might happen in Kenya. Now that economy is getting worse, instead of finding a solution, these politicians are very tricky. They will fan these ethnic differences. That's why you hear some people, let's be vigilant and very, very smart. That's when they'll start, hao Kikuyu ndio walipigia Ruto kura. They are the one who are wanajifanya ati they are in Azimio, but they are destroying us. Once you start talking like that, you are planting a seed that you don't want to see what kind of fruit it shall bear when it grows into a tree and a plant. Okay? So let's refrain from making such comments. It is every Kenyan right to vote for anyone that they want. Whether that candidate turns out to be the worst president in the history of Kenya, or whether that president turns out to be the best president in Kenya, we should not point at each other and blaming each other. Let us look at ourselves as Kenyans and find solutions as Kenyans. That's why when I say Ruto is a slave trader, I don't say the Kalenjins are slave traders. I limit it as Ruto as in his position and his capacity as the president. Somebody who has the mandate to help bring this economy out of the shithole that it's in. Okay? So we can argue on points and not make this about Ruto's tribe and his people and his voters. See what I'm saying? So this, he too, let's be careful of that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, and friends, enemies, and comrades, it's been 51 minutes. I'm about to sign off. I thank you very much. I would like to thank Mr. Yaya 2K. Rebel salute to you. Mr. Brother Benson for showing up. Rebel salute to you, to anybody else who was watching me on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever they are. I will be here probably tomorrow or sometimes this evening, maybe, depending on what I'll have going on today. Anyway, thank you very much. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. You can find me on Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook, but YouTube. My name is right there. You see that name? Just type it on YouTube, Kenya Revolutionary. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and I will talk to you guys. God bless. God bless. Peace and blessings.